These are in listen-only mode.
Hello, this is John Kellogg, the Vice President of Business Development here at Listingbook, and welcome to this now the fourth webinar of our 2016 Listingbook Success Series. We're proud to be hosting these webinars answering questions and concerns you of agents have asked regarding current technology and marketing trends and how these impact your business. Our goal at Listingbook is to help you create clients for life, and I believe you'll find the content of today's webinar both relevant and actionable as we discuss building a personal brand on Twitter. To address our topic, we continue to enjoy the expertise of the managing partners of Cave Social, Jordan Shelkin and Justin Kirby. Cave Social is a social media marketing agency that specializes in real estate marketing. Jordan and Justin are contributors to Inman News, Riz Media, and RE Technology, and today they'll be helping us understand how to build a personal brand on Twitter. I'm sure you all will have questions as they're presenting. Please feel free to go ahead and type those questions into the chat area as we'll be having a Q&A session following their presentation. We find our Q&A arguably the most meaningful part of our webinar, so you'll want to be sure to stick around for answers to your questions. And with that as an introduction, I'd like to pass off the mic to Jordan and Justin.
Hey, John. Thanks for that nice intro. We're always happy to join. We're excited to be here today. Just some housekeeping before we kind of hop into it some more here. If you do have any questions throughout, just remember to type them in. If you're having problems hearing, type them in. Also, if we go too fast, just remember that we are recording this, so we will send out a copy of this at the end. And like John mentioned, we are going to stick around at the end of the webinar for about 20 minutes, give or take, to go through some Q&A. So with that, let's hop into it. So what are we talking about today? Today we're going to be talking primarily about how to build your brand on Twitter. And really what that starts with is a great profile, and then once we have that up, we're going to talk about how to actually build a following on Twitter, and then once we have that following, how to engage it, and then we're going to look at some of the best practices that we've come across, that we've seen others use, that some of the stuff not to do as well. A lot of times you can learn what to do from cutting out some of the bad. So with that, we're going to go through step by step. You're going to see some live examples. You're going to see live examples from Justin and myself's profile. So any questions on how we did anything, fire away. So what we start with is you need a complete profile first. And anyone who's on Twitter knows you can add a cover photo, which is right here where it says make cool stuff. You also want an up-to-date profile photo, as you can see that I have right there. You want to make sure, too, that we have all of our information super accurate right here underneath your photo. So if you have recently changed brokerages, or if you've recently changed professions to come to real estate and be a realtor, we want to make sure we have that information there. We also want to make sure that you have either your email address or your website right there in your About section, because if somebody comes and they stumble across your profile, we want to make sure that they have the ability to contact you.
And then something to keep in mind here is when you see that header photo there that says make cool stuff in Jordan's profile, when selecting that photo, you want to make sure that the photo is 3 times as wide as it is tall. So the pixels on that is 1500 by 500, but really what that just means is you're trying to get a wide photo so that it'll go all the way across your profile and it won't be pixelated. The other thing that I want to make sure I mention is that if you have 2 websites, what you can do is you can put one of those websites within your biography and another within the website link down in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen there. So those are 2 good things to remember when you are filling out your profile.
For sure. The next thing with the profile, and this is something that a lot of people don't take advantage of, and this is using a pinned tweet. So for anyone who's on Twitter, you put something up and within a few days it's pretty much irrelevant, right? But if you have a piece of content or a tweet that you've put out that you think is really high value, what you're going to want to do is actually pin that tweet to your profile. So what that does is when somebody visits your profile, that tweet will appear first on your feed. So as you can see here, I've got a pinned tweet where it's linking to, Justin and I's video show. Great. And I keep that up there because I want people who I'm engaging with when they come back to my profile and check out, who we are. I want to make sure that I'm putting our best foot forward, and I'm also that we're putting our best content forward, and people can then connect with us and watch the video and just kind of deepen that engagement a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly, Jordan. And the thing that you really want to keep in mind here is it's the first thing that someone who visits your page is going to see. So think about maybe a blog that you've written, or if there's something that you really want to communicate to people, you can make a nice photo. That's the kind of thing that you want to be pinning to your page. And in order to actually pin that tweet, physically what you have to do is you make the tweet, and then in the bottom of the tweet there will be 3 little dots. You click that button, and there'll be a pinned tweet to your profile button to select. And then once you do that, that's the first thing that everyone's going to see when they come to your profile.
The next thing we want to talk about is building a following, and this is something that, right now, if you've been on Twitter and you've set up a profile and you've gone out and you've tweeted for 2 or 3 weeks and you've said, holy moly, I have 13 followers and I'm not growing anymore. I can't get any more followers. Can you just drop a yes into the chat? I just want to see the amount of people here that have really experimented with Twitter and haven't seen success yet. Okay, so we're seeing a flood of yeses into the question. This is what I thought. And some people here who don't have Twitter, some people are new to it, which, this is the great part about this webinar and the content we put forward is if you're a veteran or if it's your first day on Twitter, we're making this it's really for everybody. So something that you can do right away if you're a vet or if you are totally new on Twitter is get involved in Twitter chats. So what Twitter chats are literally chats that take place on Twitter, and they're categorized with a hashtag. So somebody will throw the chat, will host it, and they will ask questions. They'll bring on industry leaders, guests, and they'll ask questions, and then everybody else gets involved in the question stream. And what you're able to do is you're able to demonstrate your expertise. You're also able to engage with other people and their tweets. So it's really, really cool to see that you can get a ton of engagement and you can do it very, very quickly. And, most of them go for an hour. So over that hour, you're able to connect with 20, 30, 40, 50 new people and start to build those connections.
Yeah, and what's great about this is if you do have, that, like Jordan was saying, not a lot of followers, it can be hard to sort of get your message out there. And when you participate in a Twitter chat, anyone who's using that hashtag in the chat is then going to be seeing your tweets that you share. So that's a great way to sort of bolster your following right off the bat. Now, if you want to participate in a Twitter chat, there are a couple for real estate that we recommend. The first is RE Online, and that takes place every Wednesday. It's sort of a mix of social media and real estate, people talking about, what they find valuable in social media and how they use it as an agent. So that's a really good chat to check out. The other one is House Selling Help. That takes place on Tuesdays. Another really good chat to be participating in. And if you want to check out other Twitter chats, maybe they're not just on real estate. Maybe you have an interest in social media or on marketing. There are plenty to choose from. There are literally thousands of chats. A great website to go check out is tweetreports.com, and we'll drop that into the chat now. But that has a running list of all of the Twitter chats that take place and the times that they take place at so that you can participate. Usually Twitter chats run either a half hour or 1 hour long. You don't have to participate in the whole thing. You can just answer a couple questions if you like. But tweetreports.com is a great place to find where those chats are taking place.
And this is something that we live and die by. So I'm going to show you a personal example. And I was in a Twitter Smarter chat, and the question was, when should you use bots to automate your responses to people, which I don't advocate to anyone. I'm actually quite strongly against it. And just right here, you can see the difference. I put up, this is one tweet, right? This is 15 seconds of effort on my behalf for 1,600 impressions, 40 plus engagements, 20 likes, 7 people going through. Like, this is really where you see social start to take place, and you're able to start to see engagements, and not to mention the amount of people that came through and ended up following me because I was really utilizing these Twitter chats and making sure that I was adding value to the community first. And then people wanted more information, right? They want to hear what you have to say outside of the Twitter chat. So it's really, really pivotal to make sure that find one you like, stay around for the whole hour, and really don't be afraid to give your expertise, because you have some, especially in the real estate space. If you've done some marketing that's worked really well for an open house, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you can help other people out around the country with that knowledge, and it's going to pay. It's going to pay dividends for you down the road.
And by the way, one thing to mention here, Jordan, that I noticed here is you've been participating in the Twitter Smarter chat. And if you're on this webinar, obviously you understand that Twitter is something that everyone should be using and should be learning how to use. And the Twitter Smarter chat is definitely a good place to sort of learn some tips and tricks about Twitter. So, Jordan, do you know offhand when the Twitter Smarter chat is? I believe it's on Thursdays.
I think it's at Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So it's a good one. That's a great one to start with. The host is super nice, welcomes everybody in, and you can start to connect with people right away and kind of get your bearings before you go and jump into any other ones that maybe might be a little more intense. So next I want to talk about really 2 big hacks that I think everyone on Twitter should be using. And we've gone over this material before. I've written about it a ton in Inman, and still people aren't doing it. So what they are is using the @ symbol properly. So the @ is when you mention somebody else on Twitter and you want to get their attention. And then the other part is utilizing Twitter search to build connections. So what we're going to talk about first is the @ symbol. And I'm going to talk through the difference between these 2 tweets. So in the first tweet, you see I've tweeted @Inman News. Always good working on content for agents, right? Now here's the problem with this tweet. Only people who follow me and Inman News see this tweet. So let's say that's 35, 40 people, right? Now in the second tweet, by simply placing a period in front of Inman News, now every single one of my followers is going to see this tweet. So I have 1,600 followers. I've just taken my potential audience from 25, 30 people up to 1,600 plus. This is huge. And this is something that I see a lot of people doing because I see a lot of people not doing, sorry. And why you want to do it is if you are in Twitter conversation with somebody, whether it's an agent you've worked with, potential client, just someone you're connecting with online, you want to maximize your reach and maximize your exposure, right? We want to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our social media buck, per se. So when we go through, make sure you're using the @ symbol properly. If you want to test it out, you can tweet @me or @Justin and tweet away and we'll respond to everybody. If not, in the webinar right when we get off, and you can test it out and make sure that you're doing it properly. You can also, a way to get around this is to say, hi or hey. Any punctuation, any letters before the @ symbol will expand your reach. The next tip, and this is something that is the most useful tool on Twitter for real estate agents, for any job, realtors, real estate agents. I mean, you had a puppy store, it doesn't it really doesn't matter. But nobody uses this either. And this is Twitter search. So if you go onto Twitter and on your phone or on your desktop and you hit this little magnifying glass here in the top right, you see my mouse hovering over it, there you can type into the search anything you want. So got a new job, Raleigh, or moving to New York, love my house, LA, need to sell house, LA, whatever it may be. And you can see all of the people who are tweeting about this content. So now right away, right, your ears are probably perking up and you're saying, okay, this could be a great tool. Here's where I have to warn you guys and make sure that when you do this, you do it properly. When you go and you say, okay, got a new job, Raleigh, right? And we see Christine Dobbin here, and she's got a new job, and she's going to move to Raleigh. Great. Or John Zarbach, got a new job in Raleigh now. That person might need to move, right? Pretty strong chances. Your job now, if you're an agent in Raleigh, North Carolina, isn't to tweet him and say, hey, I'm the best agent in Raleigh, or hey, John, do you need a real estate agent? Da, 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 da. No, that's annoying. That's like handing him a flyer and at the mall when he's eating lunch. He doesn't want that. What he wants is if you tweet and say, oh, if you're moving to Raleigh, make sure, make sure to bring your appetite because we got great barbecue joints. Or make sure to check out one of these 5 parks. Or, hey, you know what? These areas are great. And leave it at that. You don't ask for anything. Because what John's going to do is he's like everybody else on Twitter, right? It has 100, maybe 200 people following them. You notice every single notification. You notice every single time somebody tweets at you. So when he gets tweeted at about Raleigh, he's going to go and then check out your profile. And this comes back to our first point. And we need to make sure that our profiles are set up properly so when people do come back after you've interacted with them, that you're able to go and put your best foot forward. We just had a question come in that some of the audio is cutting out. Can you guys hear that? If you guys can hear us still, can you just type a okay, so you're saying it's coming through okay? Okay, cool. I'm going to keep going. Okay, good. We can hear it all fine. Awesome, guys. Sorry. I had a couple people saying that they had had some problems. Okay, great. So after using search, and what we want to do is make sure that we're going through and we're creating real connections with people. This is the key. Create connections with people and do it in a way that's not super salesy. One of the great things is, we're very selective with companies that we come on and partner with, and one of the great things that Listingbook does is they've reached out to us and they gave us a full demo of their product. And their product, it does help you build your personal brand online, and it lets you do so on all social media networks. So one thing you can do that's really cool with Listingbook is you can actually send out property detail pages on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. For the sake of this webinar, we'll use Twitter as the example. But then when people come in, they're kind of in your ecosystem. So it's a great tool, and it's a great addition to any realtor's marketing arsenal for sure to help help promote your product as much as you need to help promote your personality. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is something that a lot of agents do, is you automate stuff. And we can't do it, guys. You can't automate authenticity. When you automate, and what I mean by automate is this, okay? If you have a program, or let's say you're paying $8, $9, $10 a month, and that program takes a post from Riz Media or takes a post from Inman News and automatically puts it on your social media. That you don't want to do. Now I'm showing you examples of these. So these right here, as you can see, the 3 tweets, these are 3 Twitter accounts that are pulling right from Inman News and posting right away. Now, I'm going to paint the scenario for you where this doesn't end well. And let's say that we have KW, Keller Williams, Boston Northwest, right? They go out, they set up, they want Inman News, or they set up a bunch of feeds, Forbes, whatever it may be. And one of those news outlets then posts an article that day that says, 18 reasons nobody should ever move to Boston. Or the Boston housing market is not as strong as you think it is. That's probably not a good piece of content for you to put out. And if it's doing it automatically, you're never going to catch if it's there or not. You're just going to say, oh yeah, my Twitter's taken care of. And sure, your Twitter is posting automatically, but it's not doing anything for you. You're not building connections, and that's the real issue. We see this too, one step further, and this literally happened. If you see, this happened 4 days ago, right? This guy, Jay Dominic, tweeting. I was in on a Twitter chat, followed him, and right away he sent me a direct message on Twitter. Right after I followed him, he seemed interesting, seemed like he had some good value, some knowledge about the real estate industry. So I said, okay, great. As soon as I followed him, I received this direct message that was complete, spam. So I sent him this message telling him he's got to turn it off. But what this shows here, and it really shows a lack of authenticity. What I'm going to do is I'm immediately going to unfollow you if you send me a direct message. And that's something that me and I think every other Twitter user, you're probably looking at 95% of Twitter users will, excuse me, will unfollow you just if you go in and start trying to set up robots to do your work for you. The thing about social media, guys, it's social. You have to be social. It's not a one-way conversation. You can't get robots to do it for you. You got to be social. Next tip to grow your Twitter following and to help you to go through. One of the things you can do, especially if you have a big following on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, wherever your connections are, is say you're just opening a Twitter, you're going to want to make sure to go through and promote your Twitter on other social networks. So this is something I put up on Facebook yesterday, and I think I got one person tweeted me, but I got about 3 followers. Some people tweeted me afterwards. So this was simple. I just went, put this on Facebook. Hey guys, I want to connect with you on Twitter. No sales pitch, nothing. Just I want to build my Twitter connection. I want to connect with you. I'm going to follow you. So make sure to take that. You go to Twitter, take your Twitter account, go to Facebook, share it on your Facebook page. Because users are on all the mediums, so we want to make sure that we are, we're there with them on all of them. The next thing you're going to want to do is really, 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 really use media in your tweets. Because if you go through and you attach photos and videos to your tweets, you're going to take up a large part of the Twitter feed for that user. And this is good because you're going to get their attention. Use strong images and then make sure you have the links in the call to action within there. So if you have a listing, post your listing photos. Hey, see more here with a link to your listing, to your property detail page right there, and you're going to be able to drive traffic. You're going to be able to get their attention and then drive traffic all through your tweets. The thing about Twitter too is it's so easy because it's a mobile-first platform. It's so easy for you to go and really create content on the fly from your phone and then put it up as tweets. Put it up on Twitter right away. You guys all have the double-facing camera on your phone. Hey, snap a selfie, or if you want to give, hey, here are my 3 home selling tips for the day, the week of whatever it may be, and throw those things right up on Twitter in a video, and just look at the difference of the engagement when you make a video opposed to when you make just a text post. And this is cool too. We're another feature that Listingbook has obviously realized it and really embraced. They've come out and said, okay, look, you know, mobile is huge and going to be huge for real estate buyers and sellers and for agents. So they've given agents the ability to actually take Listingbook and put it in their pockets and actually give consumers apps with special download links. So once again, they're in your ecosystem. It's something that's very, very, very cool, very powerful, and we're happy once again to be the partners on this and be able to show you guys at least some screenshots. And you know, if you guys want a demo of the Listingbook product, actually, this is probably a good time. All you have to do is just say the word, type the word demo into the chat, just DEMO, and one of the coaches from the team will actually reach out to you and walk you through the product and teach you kind of all the benefits, because there's a ton that we're not covering here today that I think would definitely be useful to agents. And before we hop back into Q&A, I just pass it back over to you, John, for any closing remarks that you have.
Great, and Justin and Jordan, thanks for such a great session on how to build personal brand on Twitter. And as you're typing your questions in, we'll be starting the Q&A session here just shortly. But while you're typing your questions in, I'll just, again, make that brief offer that if you'd like to have an opportunity to see how you can build your brand using Listingbook, just type in demo, and if you would like also your phone number, but we'll find a way to catch up with you if you're not able to do that. And now I would pass this back, Jordan and Justin, do we have some questions?
Yeah, we do. We see right here we got a question. Right away we had a couple people who came in late. They're asking if this was recorded. Yes, recorded. Will be sent out to everyone who attended, so don't worry if you missed something. We will make sure to get this all out to you. The next thing we see is a question really talking about how to make the best use of the character limit with Twitter. So you guys know, Twitter does have a 140 character limit when it comes to composing tweets. What the best thing you can do to use this is really take out any filler words. So the number one word that you can probably cut from your tweets is that. That's something that I have to go back and take out all the time. I type it naturally, but to make character limit, I take that out. You can also be creative. So if I was going to say, you know, instead of maybe the word and, I would use an ampersand or icon or something like that. So that would be something that I would definitely do to kind of help get stuff within a character limit. The other thing I would do is type out something in Microsoft Word. If you want to put a big tweet or something that looks kind of nice, whatever you use, and take a screenshot of that, make a little image in Paint, and actually tweet that as an attachment, and it'll stand out, and you can actually get your message across. The New York Times is a great example. They do this all the time. Okay, we did have another question here too that came in and said, why do we need to add characters before the @ symbol again? So I'm just going to go over this one more time for you guys. When you add a character before the @ symbol, everyone who follows you can see that tweet, has the potential to see that tweet. If you don't, if you lead a tweet with the @ symbol, only the users that follow you and the person you're mentioning can see the tweet. So, an example, if I were to tweet at Justin and I said, @CaveJustin, great job today, only people who followed him and I would see that. So let's say that's a pool of 100 people that follow us both. But if I tweeted, hey, @CaveJustin, great job today, now I have 1,600 followers, potentially all of them would see the tweet. So I hope that clears it up. Okay, we're working through. We got a bunch of questions coming in. Guys, don't feel free to fire away. All right, how do you find Twitter users moving to a specific city or town? So what I would do, head over to Twitter search, like I showed in the webinar. Head over there, type in the words. You got to play around with it a little bit, but type in the words moving to Seattle, new job, Seattle. Can't wait, Seattle. And see, you got to test around. You got to see, right? There's not a finite formula of how to get in front of people. You got to think about what people would say, go from there, and you'll start to see.
Got another question here. Do you have to? Do your tweets have to be important, the ones that you pin to your page? The short answer is no. You can pin any tweet to your page. You could pin your first tweet, or if you've tweeted 1,000 times, it could be any of those. But what we highly recommend and what we really stress is that you do pin a tweet that you really want people to see, because it is going to be the first thing that people see when they come to your profile page. So be sure it's something that you really want to communicate to your followers.
Okay, and we do have another tweet that just said, what's the best way to get started on Twitter? And never really done it. And really, sign up, get on there, play around with it. The great thing about social media is it's moving so fast that you can try new stuff. You can, try a picture, try a video. And if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You didn't spend a ton of money on a billboard ad on the side of the highway that you regret. Everything is up and gone.
And one good thing to remember when you're starting is that when you do sign up for Twitter, it gives you the opportunity to connect your email with your Twitter account. So right away, you'll be able to see which of your contacts in your email book are already on Twitter. And that's a great way to get your first 50 to 100 followers, because we've all got a contact list in our email book, and odds are a good amount of those people are already on Twitter. So connect with the people that you know first, and then start doing things like joining Twitter chats and pinning tweets, other things that can start growing your Twitter presence.
Okay, and we have one here is, how does Twitter generate leads? Which is a great question. And here's what I'd say is, if you're looking for Twitter to be a giant lead generator in terms of the way where you can say, hey, I tweeted 20 times and I got 1 lead, that's never going to happen. But the way it does work, it's similar to where if you went to a cocktail party, right? If you go to a cocktail party and you meet 20 people, and then you maintain relationships with 10 of those people, you become good friends with 3 of them, and then one of those 3 people sends a referral your way. That's how Twitter and social media works, is you're able to go through and create connections on Twitter, and though that person might not buy from you, they have friends. They have a whole network that you might not even know about that they can actually introduce you to. So this is why, as you're using Twitter, we say, okay, keep it social, keep it about community, but then also make sure to sprinkle in your property detail pages, because it's a nice reminder to people who follow you that, hey, they are a realtor, and 2, they are in business if they're showing houses. So stick with that 90-10 rule. The property detail pages with Listingbook are a great way to kind of show that product as a mix too, with all the people stuff that you're putting out.
I'd jump in and mention today we're Twitter focused, but we also have spent a couple webinars this year. You guys did a great job of doing sort of an introduction to Facebook and then a deeper dive. And I think it's probably worth noting that a lot of these you're building an overall presence. So you're not using just Twitter as the one means to try to generate a lot of leads or your presence, but it's really the combination of the different social tools, of which, as you indicated, Listingbook's connected in most of the relevant ones. Even we had talked about Instagram, I think, before. So for those of you if you weren't in those webinars, they're available as they've been recorded also, and you can go back and listen to some of the other things that you would put together with what you've learned today to even build a greater online presence and branding yourself.
No, for sure. And like John said, we have to find the recorded webinars, so we'll actually send out an email with all the links to the past one, because they're all up. They're all up in the cloud, so we will email those out. I saw a question come through here that I want to address, and it's, how do I link my Facebook and Twitter so I only have to post once? And I really got to strongly advise against this, because think about this. Twitter is a dance floor, right? The song's changing every minute and a half. People are moving fast. They're dancing around. They're sweating. They're wearing their dancing clothes. Facebook is a family sit-down restaurant where you're having a slower conversation and you're really getting to know the people you're with and around you. You can hear the people next to you, and you're maybe talking about one topic for an hour. Now, you wouldn't want to go sit down at a family restaurant and have a bunch of sweaty people dancing beside you, right? Nor would you want to have a sit-down dinner in the middle of your favorite nightclub. So what that means is you can't put the same message on both. They're different platforms. They need different messages. It's just that simple. So Twitter's fast-paced. Keep it fast-paced. Facebook, you take the time, alter your messaging a little bit differently, and really take, guys, this is one of those things where if you want social media to work for you, it takes time and effort. There's no 5-minute a day social media plan, right? You got to put some effort in and really make an effort to post on both and make unique posts on both. They can be around the same content, but it shouldn't be carbon copy, the text. It should be different.
Okay, we've got another question here. And Jordan, while I'm answering this, can you scroll back to the PDP page for the slide that you have? The question that we have here is, how do I share my listing to Twitter? And if you have a Listingbook account, it's really simple. You just click the link on the top right-hand corner of the property listing page, and that'll get shared directly to Twitter. And that's a good way to generate leads. We recommend that you share these pages a few times a week. You don't want to make them the only things that you tweet, but it is a good way to generate leads when you do want to sort of come in with a sell. So it's really simple. It's really just one click of a button right there.
And that's really what our coaching session is about. Just like having this session on learning how to use Twitter, you know, I can't say how many times I've gotten a piece of software and I never really quite figured out how to use it, and I just ended up not. So similarly with Listingbook, we want to make sure that you find the value in it. And so that's why we have our free coaching sessions to actually take you through the process and to understand how you can use it to better brand yourself.
We have a question here too. How do you start your own Twitter chat? Really what you got to do is reach out to people in your network. Pick a hashtag, pick a topic, make some questions, set a time. I would recommend attending a big Twitter chat, like Twitter Smarter, for instance. Excuse me. Attend their chat. See how they're doing it. Maybe reach out to the host of it and say, hey, how'd you get started? What was the best way to do it? And go from there. But that's a grind. That's definitely a grind. But all the power to you if you want to take that on.
Got another question here. How often should I be posting to Twitter? With Twitter, unlike some of the other major social networks, as long as you're sharing, unique original content, it's hard to overpost on Twitter just because timelines do move so quickly, so you won't really be annoying anyone. But we would probably say no more than 10 times a day, but just try and keep it, be sure that everything's unique. That doesn't mean you have to post 10 times a day by any means. For frequency, we would say at least try to post maybe twice a day. That would be a good number to try to hit.
Okay, guys. It looks like questions are slowing down. We are going to stay on. It can be anything social. It doesn't have to be specifically about Twitter. If you guys have any questions with digital marketing, make sure to fire away. Oh, I see here. Should you post to both your personal and business page? So on Twitter, I would recommend only having one account, just easier to manage. and I would make that your business account. And one of the things with being a realtor is everything you post on both your personal or any accounts you have set up that are personal or business on Twitter doesn't really matter, because the consumer or anyone who searches for you can find both. So you want to make sure that you're really, really cognizant about what you're putting on Twitter, especially if you think it's a personal account, because chances are people are still seeing it. With Facebook, the rules are a little different. You can have your privacy settings, that only people who are friends and family can see, pictures of your children, whatever that may be, stuff that you're posting, family vacations. But I would really make sure to keep it all professional and all business. And you can be fun. You can be fun, but just make sure that people are checking out any Twitter accounts that you have. We have a question here on what's better, quantity or quality of followers when it comes to Twitter. And this is what I'll tell you, guys. Depth is everything. Okay, it's better to be an inch wide and 5 miles deep with your followers than it is to be 5 miles wide and 1 inch deep. If you can create 15 real followers, I'm talking 15 people on Twitter who retweet and engage with everything you do, you are going to have a more successful Twitter account than any brand that I follow. Like, that is hard to get, but go for that. So what I would make sure is go for people who really engage with your brand, because those are the people who are going to lead you to buyers, right? People who follow you and getting quantity, a vanity. It's really just a thing for vanity, getting 10,000 Twitter followers. Because if none of them ever lead to a purchase for you, that's all they ever will be, is followers, right? And you guys are in this game. You're in the social media game because it helps your business. So that means it's got to help drive sales at some point, right? So we just always keep that top of mind. I'll take 10 people who will follow everything I say and all the, I put an article, they read it, opposed to 10,000 people who I'm not getting any engagement.
Okay, we've got a question here. Can you explain what retweeting is? Basically, what a retweet is it's sharing someone else's content. So, for example, if Jordan tweeted a listing that I really liked, if I hit the retweet button, that tweet would then share on my Twitter timeline. So it's sharing someone else's tweet on your timeline.
And I'll show you guys I'm going to show you guys a live example of that right now, just because it's always fine to be a little bit more helpful. So we'll go here. I'll go Twitter. I'm already logged in, so if I go to Cave Justin's profile, I see Justin's profile here, my latest piece on Adweek, and this button here is retweet. So I'm going to like it, and then I'm going to hit retweet. So now when I retweet it, I have the ability just to retweet it as is, or I can say, I'm going to use my punctuation, right? Doesn't have to be crazy, right? There we go. It's just a simple tweet, and now that's up. And that's how you retweet, and that's how you also use the @ symbol properly.
Okay. Looks like we got another question here about follower ratios. So should you be following more people than are following you, or what's sort of the number there that is, sort of, does it matter? And what we always recommend to people is try to not follow more than 100 people that are following you. And the reason that we stick to that number is because if you start following way more people than are following you, it gives people an impression that maybe you're not posting content that other people really want to see. So try and keep that number relatively equal, or at least within 100 followers. A good way to sort of keep that number in check, there's an app that we always recommend. It's called Crowdfire. Crowdfire will let you see who is not following you back and then give you the opportunity to unfollow them if they're not engaging with your content. So that's sort of the follower ratio that we usually recommend.
Okay, we have a question. Is how do people search for you on Twitter? As in, how do they do it? Name or email address or either? People find you on Twitter and social media in general by typing your name into Google. Chances are your Twitter page shows up on the first page or the second, excuse me, when you're searched for, when your name is searched for. So really, you got to make sure, because the buyers today and the millennial buyers in particular are going to go and actually research and make sure you're on social, make sure that you are there, that you are updating it, that you have, because they want to make sure that their agents are up to date with modern marketing. And so I would make sure that you have it up to date, because it's probably on the first page of Google. All right, guys, we got a couple. I see a couple still coming in. We do have another webinar scheduled with Listingbook as well. So I want to make sure before we answer another question that we're going to drop that webinar link into the chat so you guys have the ability to sign up. And the next webinar, so you guys know, is on marketing and millennials. So how to convert sales with millennial buyers and sellers in real estate. So I'm really excited for that topic. It's something I'm super passionate about, Justin as well. So we will put that in the chat for you guys. Oh, there it is, the next webinar. So you guys got that. If you click on that, you should be able to sign up for our next webinar if you like this one and got some value out of it. We always like hanging out, so we'd appreciate it. You guys head over and hang out with us. It'll be around the 10th or 11th next month. I think we got it scheduled for.
Got another question here. How do people typically search for other people on Twitter? And if you want to discuss private, personal matters like politics or other private things, how would you go about doing that on Twitter? So when people search for other people on Twitter, typically they'll search by just entering in their name or if the person's name, or if they know your username. Those are the two most common ways that people search. And if you do want to talk about private or personal things on your Twitter page, there is an option to keep your profile private. If you're going to be doing that on Twitter, we highly recommend that you do keep your profile private because you don't want to be obviously discussing all your private affairs with the entire world. So go ahead and make your page private if there is private stuff that you want to keep between you and a few other people. And that way, if someone wants to follow you on Twitter, it has to be approved by you. So that's what we'd recommend if you want to have a private page.
Okay, we do have a question that's come in. It's really about changing your Twitter profile often, your profile picture. Here's what I would do. Change your picture on all social media networks as often as you change appearance. If you cut your hair all off, or if you're putting your picture up from the late 90s, it's probably time to update that photo. So I just make a judgment call. Use good judgment when it comes to your Twitter profile. And guys, with that, it looks like that's kind of it for questions. Thank you for coming on. If you have any other questions, Justin and I will be on Twitter for the rest of the day too. So feel free to tweet us. I will throw our Twitter accounts right now, and you can also tweet Listingbook will also be on Twitter. So guys, fire away with any questions you have, and we'll be on there.
Hey, I just want to
Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan and Justin from Cave Group, and as well as you, our agent audience, for attendance, and especially your engagement and great questions again. And we'll be sending out an email for the upcoming event on May 10th, and we'll be tackling again how to sell to the next generation of buyers, the millennials. Please invite your friends to this next webinar, It's been fun and instructive, and on behalf of Jordan, Justin, and Listingbook, make it a great day of sales.